Hello and welcome everyone. This is English composition and this week is already week 11. So, welcome back. Welcome to reality. Even though that we are no longer having like a face-to-face classes, but I really want to emphasize that everything including assignments and all of the assessments are still on schedule. It's still ongoing. Therefore, we have to soldier on. We're gonna have online classes. I'm gonna record myself, record my lectures, and then I'm gonna give a bit of a leeway in a way that, in terms of your attendance, it all depends on you guys. When during the week that you want to view the videos and also to accomplish the task that I gave you every single week. So it depends on you guys. When are you guys available to do everything online? But please be aware that I am taking attendance weekly. So every Sunday, 11:59 p.m., I'll be checking your contributions in terms of your group wiki, and also if you have watched my videos or even if you have accomplished tasks that I ask you guys to do online. So please do everything. If you guys or if any of you, your friends who are having trouble with the internet, please do not forget to email me and let me know about it. It's extremely important that we continue our lesson even though that we have the restriction movement order as well. Okay, so let's go back to reality and talk about important things. Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to make sure that we are on the right track, and I'm going to give you guys this checklist. Basically, throughout this semester, this ENL101 class, you guys have to do these essays, these different types of essays. So before you go for your final exam, make sure that you have covered every single one of these from this checklist. Why? Because we can basically test you guys on any of these type of essay in your final exam. Okay, so the first one is illustrative, which we have done. We also have finished with our process essay. We are basically done with the cause and effect essay as well, and all of these three different types of essays are tested or were tested in your last midterm exam. Okay, and now we shall be continuing. I have introduced you guys slightly about compare and contrast essay. However, today I will attempt to finish and to accomplish compare and contrast essay. I also have uploaded an example on Blackboard, and we're gonna go ahead and have a discussion about that essay as well. And next week, in the following weeks, we shall be looking at argumentative essay and also narrative essay. So hopefully before week 14, we should be able to finish all of these syllabuses. Okay, right. So what we're going to achieve today is that number one, obviously, as I mentioned, I want to continue and hopefully we can finish talking about compare and contrast essay. We'll be looking at Venn diagram as a way to brainstorm in compare and contrast essay. We shall be once again looking at the structure of compare and contrast essay, and towards the end of today's class, I hope that we can together have a look at an example that I gave on Blackboard, and then we'll together analyze and see what we can do or what you guys can apply in your exams when you're choosing compare and contrast essay. Okay, so let's get going. So as usual, every now and then I would always show you guys this table because this is extremely important. So no matter how active you guys are in your online classes, and no matter how much how you've never skipped a class, anything, but what's most important is this these table where it summarizes all type of assessments that are going on for this semester for this ENL101. So basically these are the things that will contribute marks for your ENL101. And one of the most important one is obviously the report writing. So report writing is 20%. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. It's the same mark as your midterm exam. So report writing is a group work. So I have briefed you guys about this assignment where you have to come up with a topic and then try to collect the data, because there is a certain constraint of us, trying to go out from the house, and we don't want to do that. So I have advised you guys, and I've encouraged you guys to use an online survey to collect the data. So I want you to produce a report based on a survey, and the topic has to be chosen or finalized from everybody in that group. So out of 3 groups that we have in this course, two of the groups have finalized the topic, and some of them have started working on the survey questions, which was awesome. So one more group has yet to, they have reached out to me, but we haven't found a time for us to, have an online consultation, and then we can discuss about it. So please, let's finalize that. For your oral presentation as well, I'll be talking specifically on your oral presentation, because we don't know if we are going to be quarantined again in future or not. But just to make sure that everything is safe, I'm going to give you guys a bit of an instruction for us to do an online presentation. So stay tuned. I'm not going to cover about your oral presentation today, but we'll have a special video to talk about that. So please stay tuned. Next is the peer assessment. Basically, I'm going to give you guys a link where you can assess your friend's performance based on how much that person contribute in your report, in your research of your survey. Okay, so basically I don't want any free riders. I want to emphasize that this is a teamwork and everybody has to contribute. Therefore, I'm making this peer assessment, and by evaluating your friends, that is 5% of your course marks. Not to forget as well, guys, in week 13, in 2 more weeks, your reflective assignment is due, and that assignment is based on Gabriel Fernandez's story, which is a very, very interesting topic, interesting issue. It was quite famous on Netflix, so I'm going to give you guys a bit of a flexibility in a way that how you want to present your reflection is basically up to you guys. But I want to see a bit of more vulnerability. I want to see a bit more of critical thinking going on there as well. So I'm looking forward to read your reflective essay. Okay, so everything of these in this table will contribute to your 100% of course, 100% of your marks, and we also have a final exam which will be briefed soon. Okay, so we can definitely do this. I understand that we have, a lot of problems. We have a lot of constraints, and mostly dealing with internet and having to, have a better communication, much more open communication among your small groups in your assignments can be a little bit tough. And I do understand and I acknowledge that this can be a bit of like a sensitive time for every one of us, not just you guys, but for me as well. So I'm gonna strike a deal with you guys. If any of you want to, extend your assignment due dates, please inform me before Monday, 6th of April 2020, before 11:59 p.m. Okay, so if you feel like some of the works can be a little bit overwhelming for you guys, for instance, the report writing, for maybe the reflection, any of these two that you feel like you want to extend the due dates, if it's the report, make sure that you guys talk to your group mates before you decide to apply for extension from me. And also because reflection is individual, you don't have to talk to anyone, you can just simply email me. Okay, so I understand that they can be a bit more, there can be problems coming up, or maybe this could be a constraint for you. So if you need more time, I will not penalize you. I'm gonna extend just for you. However, you need to give me a valid reason for it. Okay, so if you want to extend your assignments, please do let me know before Monday. Okay, right, so it's been a habit of mine to actually always remind you guys again on your grading scale, because as I mentioned, 101, the grading scale can be a little bit tough. So you need to get 96 and above to get A minus, and then if you want to pass and you don't want to repeat this paper, okay, you need to get 65 and above, and it could be quite a challenge as well. So if you feel like you feel like you want to do some extra consultation or you need extra help, please do not hesitate to email me, and then we'll try and have an online consultation with you. Okay? Right, let's continue where we left, and I think in the middle of trying to brief you guys on the last minute cancellation on our Buhiba food project, I think I focused last week merely talking about assignment, and now we are trying to finish with our syllabus, and today hopefully we can finish talking about compare and contrast essay. So first of all, I want everyone here to be nice and to be honest. And I want you to look at these questions, and I want you to pause this video, and I want you to talk or maybe to write down some of the differences between compare and contrast, because these two are really different. And then tell me, what are the structures of compare and contrast essay, and what is the main difference between compare and contrast essay and also argumentative essay. Okay, so now I want you to pause this video, and I want you to tell me your answers. I mean, you answer yourself, and then try to be honest with yourself. If you don't know, it's fine. We're going to talk about it later as well, but please do try and remember back on what we've learned from previous classes. Okay? Okay, I assume that you have done with your answers. Now let's take a look into one by one from these questions. Okay, the first question, what is the difference between compare and contrast? It's very easy and straightforward. Compare is basically trying to see what is the similarity between two or more things. Okay, and contrast, on the other hand, is trying to see what's different between two or more things. So here we have two different concepts, two different things that we want to analyze. And how do we analyze these two things or concepts? We look at the similarity and also the differences. All right. So when it comes to structure, there are two ways of doing it, and it's very similar to cause and effect essay in a way that you need transition sentence or paragraph in between of compare and contrast. Okay, so it could be it depends on you if you want to talk about compare first or if you want to talk about contrast first. It all depends on you and how you want to present your points, if I can say it. Okay, but in between of introducing compare and contrast, you need that transition sentence. When we talk about compare and contrast, some people or some students often get confused with argumentative essay, and there is a distinct difference between these two. And the most important thing is that you have to understand, when it comes to compare and contrast essay, you have to be objective. You cannot present your findings or your points in a way that you are showing a bit of biasness. Compare and contrast is always objective. On the other hand, when it comes to argumentative essay, which is also one important type of essay because this will be tested in your final exam, one part of argumentative essay is that you have to tell us your stand. Where do you stand in this issue? So you have to tell us, do you like it or you don't like it? So there is a bias going on. So that is the main difference between these two things. Compare and contrast is always objective, and you need a balance between both points. You cannot just keep on talking about one point and you disregard another point. If you want to compare or contrast, you have to present both equally. Okay, So that is the main difference between compare and contrast and also argumentative essay. I also taught you guys about Venn diagram because I feel like Venn diagram is a very, very interesting and useful tool for you when you want to do this compare and contrast essay. So what Venn diagram basically show us is that we have two different concepts in two different bubbles, but the intersection between the two circles or two bubbles are these similarity. Okay, so why I think that Venn diagram is very, very important, because this is something that you can adapt in your thesis statement. All right. So so last week, I think the previous class, when way back before we had this RMO thing, this quarantine thing, I asked you guys to complete a Venn diagram based on Android versus iPhone. Am I right? Now let's try and have a look at your Venn diagram, and then let's try and discuss about it. Let me see. So when doing this, you should be able to see if you are able to find the right keyword to be inserted in your thesis statement. Now, I want you guys, using your Venn diagram, I want you to try to create a thesis statement. Now, this is an example of essay outline that I did based on the Venn diagram of the topic Android versus iPhone. Okay, so for my thesis statement, I have referred to the Venn diagram, and then based on that Venn diagram, I managed to see the three keywords here. We have customization, applications, and purposes. So the most important thing when it comes to a compare and contrast essay, you don't have to mention in detail how is it similar, how is it different, but you use keywords because you don't want to confuse people. Okay, very often when it comes to brainstorming process, you would highlight here maybe applications. Okay, so you would give a bit of details. So those details will serve as your supporting details rather than your topic sentence or even in your thesis statement. But what is the general category of those applications? If you have maybe certain applications that is available on Android only or even on iPhones only. So those general term is what you need to write in your thesis statement. Okay, now let's have a look at my thesis statement here. Both Android and iPhone have similarities and differences in various aspects, which this essay will argue particularly on three things: customization, applications, and purposes. Now, thesis statement in compare and contrast essay can be very general in a way that we know that these are the compare and contrast, but we don't really know which one is which. Okay, so that is why you have to read the whole essay to know about it. But sometimes thesis statement can be a bit more specific in a way that I'm going to show you guys an example of compare and contrast essay that I did, and I have uploaded it on Blackboard, and I will see into how we make thesis statement to be a bit more specific. Okay, but this is also one way of doing thesis statement for compare and contrast essay. Let's have a look at my first topic sentence. My first topic sentence: the main difference between Android and iPhone is the customization, mainly in the interface of both ecosystems. So here I'm saying that the interface of both Android and iPhone is different in a way that you can customize it or not. Very, the good supporting details for this, very evidently we can see that iPhones, we don't have much when it comes to customization, but when it comes to Android, there are a lot of things that you can customize, especially in the interface for the Android. So that is the main difference to me between Android and also iPhone. Let's take a look at the second topic sentence. In my second topic sentence, I say another distinction of Android and iPhone is the different applications that both have to offer to the users. Now here, instead of using the same word like difference, now I'm trying to make it more variety when it comes to my language, and I say distinction. Okay, so this is also a good way to revamp and to increase your marks when it comes to writing styles, you as the writer as well. Okay, let's have a look at the third topic sentence. Now we're done talking about contrast, and I want to introduce a compare now. So I can make it very simple, and I can make it very straightforward by saying both Android and iPhone serve the same purpose, which is to connect the users. So here, this is very obvious and direct. So when it comes to essay outline in your final exam, in your test, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys can go very, very straightforward. I understand that some of you guys want to explore the language, and I don't mind that, to be honest. But in essay outline, very often students will get their marks deducted because they attempt to do something, or they attempt to challenge themselves grammatically, and if they fail, it can cost them marks. Because to me, essay outline is when you can easily get marks if you have good English and if you have good structure of the language. So you don't have the creativity marks is not evident in essay outline. So you don't have to be much creative. But when it comes to the writing of 5-paragraph essay, which comes right after essay outline, the marks on creativity and content is very much there, and I would clearly emphasize you guys to think about your sentence structure and how to make it more variety, your language, your vocabulary, your choice of word, and everything will constitute into marks. So that one is when you use your creativity if you want it. Okay, so for essay outline, I would recommend you to go very straightforward and make it simple so that you can secure your marks. Now, I think a lot of you guys are asking about transition sentence, which is in between compare and contrast concepts or paragraphs itself. So transition sentence is similar to cause and effect essay, which we had before, and similarly the concept is the same. It's when you try to provide link between previous concept with another concept after that, and then it all depends on you as a writer. Sometimes the way you write it, you feel like you have to convey the meaning more effectively in more than one sentence. Please go ahead and do it so it becomes a paragraph instead of a sentence. But sometimes, to me, if I'm being pretty blunt and also honest, no, for me, one single sentence is enough to make sure that, to show that I have link and make it coherent between my compare and also contrast paragraphs. Now, my transition sentence could be, even though Android and iPhone are distinct in terms of customization and applications, but both operating systems are similar in some ways. Okay, so this is my transition sentence, which is something that is quite straightforward and easy, but then it does not give you very much specific details, because obviously if you want to know the details, you have to read the paragraphs. Okay, now I'm going to show you an example of compare and contrast essay, which is available on Blackboard in week 11, and I will attempt to analyze one by one in a way that I'm going to tell you what are certain language or linguistics phrases that I want you to write in compare and contrast essay, and then how I how I organize my compare and contrast essay so that I can secure my marks in organization. Okay, let's take a look at, now let's see. Okay, so this should be available in week 11's folder here. Okay, But I'm going to open this in my Word document, and I hope that everyone here can look at it. Okay. So the topic that we're discussing today is that there are many advances, obviously, in technology, blah, blah, blah. So compare and contrast methods of communication used today with those which were used in the past. So here we're trying to compare and also to see any differences between communication in the past and communication right now. It's very straightforward. Let's have a look into how we can do introduction. So obviously, when it comes to compare and contrast essay, how many paragraphs do we need? We need, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we need 6 different paragraphs, yeah. So let's have a look at the first paragraph, which is the introduction. Now, it all is very similar to all different types of essays. We have the organization, we have the conventional way, the structure that I taught you guys. So in your introduction, what do you need? Firstly, you need a hook, then you need a building sentence, then you need a thesis statement. Now let's take a look at how I break down my compare and contrast essay. So a hook, here I'm using asking question as my method of trying to hook the reader by asking, do you remember when was the last time you ever written a letter to someone? Okay, so I'm just suggesting what are the ways of, communication in the past. So then I put a bit of a building sentence in a way that I give a bit of context by trying to link between my hook and also my thesis statement by saying that before computer and modern technology were even invented, people communicate long distances using traditional ways such as letters and phones. Nowadays, the world is blessed with a vast array of communication tools which can complete the tasks ranging from emails, instant messaging, and video calls. So basically, when it comes to building sentence, you can obviously write more than one single sentence if you feel like it does not do justice in a way that you give enough context and enough background knowledge about the topic. This is when you want to put your definition of, certain keywords that you feel necessary. Okay, that is when you put in your introduction. Next is your thesis statement. So thesis statement, as I mentioned, needs to summarize all 3 different points. So here, so from the previous slides that in the slides that we looked before, we look at the Android versus iPhone, and my thesis statement in that was very, very general. In a way, I give them 3 different terms, different categories, and then I put it in one single thesis statement. Sometimes you can explore a little bit, and if you want, you can try to create something like this. While the present and previous means of communication are similar in their general form, they differ in regards to their speed and the range of tools available. So I can immediately tell what is the compare and what is the contrast. So it could be something very specific like this as well. But if you want to do this, make sure that you have very good English, because the thesis statement needs to be parallel in a way that if you want to segregate between 2 different concepts, I need to see a bit of your language skills going on there. Okay, but you can do it. I believe that you can explore however you want to do it. Now have a look at my first main body paragraph. I'm talking about similarity first, because there's only one similarity that I want to highlight on. I feel like it's easier for me to talk about similarity first before jumping into contrast. But it all depends on your style of writing as well. So as I mentioned, my topic sentence is always very straightforward. I can say one similarity between current and previous methods of communication relates to the form of communication. It's very straightforward, it's very easy, and very organized as well. So here the language that I want you guys to use is similarity. So here, because compare, I need to know that you understand the concept of compare. It's the similar things. What is it that is the same? So you can go ahead and have a look at what are some of the wonderful synonyms for the word similarity, just so that you can make it more variety and diverse in your essay later. Okay, so now we're moving into your supporting details. As I mentioned, supporting detail always needs to provide explanation, give examples, and if you can try to provide statistics if you want. So in the past, both written forms such as letters were frequently used in addition to oral forms such as telephone calls. So here, as I mentioned, when it comes to compare and contrast, they need a balance between both concepts. So first, I'm trying to explain in a way what has it been done in the past. Then I move into what is it in current state. So here, because this is a compare and contrast, it needs a balance. So I'm talking about what we had before, which is letters and also telephone calls. But similarly, it's also the word that I'm looking to see when you guys chose this topic. What is it that people use nowadays as well? Just in the past, blah blah blah, and now it's the same thing. Okay, so the form of communication is still there, and do not forget that you have to write concluding sentence as well that concludes the main idea in the main body paragraph. So there's only one main idea in each main body paragraph, therefore you need to conclude it as simple as this. So in your concluding sentence, you can start with words like in short, thus, therefore, yada yada. Because I only have one compare, I'm gonna write my transitional sentence now, because following the transitional sentence is the contrast one. So have a look. As I mentioned, I always think that, to me, my style is that I only write one transitional sentence, but you can write more than one sentence if you want to. Okay, even though both methods are alike in regard to the form of communication, but communication in the past and today have changed considerably, which will be explained in the following paragraphs. Okay, so because we want to see a link between the previous paragraph and also the following paragraphs, therefore you need this transitional sentence. Okay, so as I mentioned, transitional sentence can be very simple. You don't have to be very specific. In a way here, I don't tell what are the differences, because I think that the readers will be able to understand it in the following paragraphs. That is why I try to keep it a bit of a suspense going on there as well. Okay, so moving to the next paragraph, I have my first contrast. So I start with my topic sentence. As I mentioned, my topic sentence is always very simple and straightforward. Say the most notable difference between the two is the speed. Okay, so then I give more supporting details here. Then, not to forget, I try and give concluding sentence to summarize this whole thing. Okay, remember, when it comes to compare and contrast, always make sure that you give balance to both now we're looking at communication in the past and also communication in present, so make sure that you have both. And the language that I'm looking forward to see when it comes to writing contrast is the word like in contrast, this is different. So these are very, very wonderful words, linguistic phrases that I want to see in your essay. Moving on, the last main body paragraph, which is the contrast tool. Here, start with a topic sentence. You can say significant difference is the range of communication of methods. And then I give a bit of supporting details, and my concluding sentence can be a little bit longer, simply because I feel like it. Thus, the variety of communication methods has changed throughout the years of human communication and becomes one of the differences between past and present communication. So really, the sky is your limit. You can do whatever you want, and you can explore any kind of structure or linguistic, structures or any kind of linguistic abilities that you want to show to me. It's fine. You can have your way of doing it, but make sure that it's grammatically correct. Now let's take a look at the conclusion now. So similar to any conventional writings, in your conclusion you need to start with a restate or thesis statement, then you give a bit of general statement, then if you can, try to give a bit of recommendation. But remember, try to avoid using personal pronoun. Let's take a look at how you can try and do this. First and foremost, please make sure that in your restate of thesis statement, it needs to conclude all three main points in one single sentence. So, in conclusion, methods of communication have greatly advanced over the 50 years, particularly on the speed and tool, whereas both still have the same form of communication. Now, instead of just looking, I changed my language, I changed my structure in a way that I'm looking at the differences first, then only I mention about the similarity. Okay, so try to explore your language so you can do as creative as you want. But make sure your restate of thesis statement concludes all 3 points in one single sentence only. Okay, I need to see it in one single sentence. Then you can give a bit of general statement by saying there is no doubt that technology will continue to progress in future, and the advanced tools which is used today may one day also become updated, which is correct, right? So you give a bit of a general sentence that you can say more, and the reason why I said this is because I want to give some recommendation which is particularly based on how today's technology will become outdated in future. So I said therefore it's always advisable to keep up to date on the emergences of new technologies, because if you don't even know what is the current state of technology today, you wouldn't be able to know the technology that will be coming out in future. Am I right? So you will be left behind. So that is my recommendation. So remember, compare and contrast is very straightforward. It's very, I might say it's a very interesting topic to explore. But please remember, as compared to other conventional writings like illustrative essays, you need one extra paragraph, which is the transitional paragraph. Okay, so that is it for compare and contrast essay. Let's have a look. I think that is mostly it. Please do study by yourself, and if you feel like you need some more, you need more help, or if you want to do your own exercises and you want me to check your work, I'm more than pleased to actually help you guys with that. Okay, so thank you so much for listening and tuning in to this video. Please make sure that you guys are doing your assignment, and if you need any help, please do not hesitate to call me. No, not call, to email me. Okay, thank you so much guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.